This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 158 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Horses are individuals. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Equestrian Collections is one of those sponsors that you can find at equestriancollections.com, plus Uncle Jimmy's brand products at uncle-jimmys.com, and Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B. And we thank you for listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show right here on the Horse Radio Network.
Well, howdy, Helena.
Hi, Glenn. I'm really excited for our guest today.
I know. You have a book in your hand and you want to talk to the author.
Oh, you know, your wife sent me this book, and the author is Britta Schuffman, and the name of the book is Dressage Training Customized. But it's the subtitle that really got my interest, which is Schooling the Horse as Best Suits His Individual Personality and Conformation. Now, I know I say this, that every time we get an author on here, I just absolutely love their book, but really, I mean it more than ever before. This is one of my favorite training books of all time.
You're not giving this one up, are you?
Never. Never.
And I think, too, that as Jennifer said this about this particular book, is you can take out the dressage at the beginning.
Oh,
it's
totally.
Really training customized. It applies to anything. This is not a dressage training book.
Well, the funny thing is I mean, doesn't dressage mean training? So
yes. Yeah, that's true.
It really is, you're right. This has nothing to do with dressage and everything to do with basic training.
Basic training.
Not basic training for babies or starting horses, but it's a broad training foundation.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun. We're going to be talking to her all the way from Europe here shortly. And, of course, we have my tech pick of the week, which is a fun little application I think that people are going to find useful. And then we remembered to put your Pony Club thing in this week.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to do the Pony Club thing anymore after this week, though. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
When we get to it.
All right. And then I have also another recording for our Attack and Habit segment from Ada, which I think everybody's going to enjoy, a little product that we've taken a look at a version of it before, but now there's a new version out. So we're going to be coming to that later in the show, too. First, everybody wants to know, your leg's still up and your huge knee brace the size of a watermelon still on?
Oh, gosh, this brace and I, yes, we have a very complicated relationship. I would like to divorce my brace, but apparently it's still quite necessary. The knee is healing.
You better be careful. That brace is going to sue for palimony or something.
I know, and child support. I mean, there's things growing underneath this bandage that are just not even right. It is good. It is healing ahead of schedule. Physical therapy is fabulous. I love my physical therapist.
Oh, is he cute?
It's a she.
Oh, okay.
And she's cute. She's sweet. She's smart. We're working as a team. She'd be a great pony. You
wouldn't be in this problem if you had a pony like that.
No, I would be in a bigger problem if I had a pony.
No, I meant if you had a horse, the pony's what got you in trouble using the term generically.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's healing okay, but I'm able to muck my stalls, but I cannot dump the wheelbarrow. I can stuff hay nets, but I cannot hang them.
Okay.
I can brush horses, but I cannot pick feet.
So basically, you're doing half the job.
I'm doing half the job. And my wonderful, wonderful husband is really doing a great job of picking up the rest of the barn chores.
So not only does he have to cook for you and your child, he has to do the housework, and now he has to do the barn work, too.
Well, he doesn't have to do the housework. The only thing I can't do is vacuum. I can pick up. I can do laundry. There's lots of other things I can continue to do, but let's not whoa. Yeah. No, he's good, but nobody's that good.
Does the vacuum get caught on your knee brace? Is that why you can't vacuum?
No, believe it or not, I can't balance to push the vacuum.
I got you. Yeah.
And anything that throws me off balance is a little bit dangerous. We can't. And the graft, it's such an interesting, hopefully none of you out there ever have to have this surgery, but it is so interesting. The graft, for those of you who haven't been following along, they took a section of my hamstring tendon and they made an ACL out of it, which is actually a ligament. So what happens is the tendon actually converts over time into a ligament. And they're different. The tissues are different, and the makeup of the cells is different. But it actually makes this transition through, it grows new blood vessels. It's called vascularization. And so around the 4 to 6 week mark, the graft is really weak because it's going through this change. So I have to be super, super careful about not moving the leg in a way that could compromise that transition.
Got it.
And vacuuming is one of those things.
Good excuse anyway.
Using your balance.
I have to say I don't want to vacuum.
I know that's probably too much information, but it's one of those things. Hey, I can't ride. I couldn't do my barn chores. So what do? I go on the internet and I look up ACL surgeries.
All right, Helena. And I want to apologize for everybody, too. The last couple of weeks, we've had a little bit of a hiss in this show, and we've narrowed it down to Helena's recording equipment. And Jennifer is sending you out, by the way, new recording equipment today. You're going to get the new cord and the new mic.
Yay!
So that should be to you by the time we record the next show. And
so you really think it's my mic?
Yeah, I think it's your cord and mic. Actually, we just had another one of those cords go bad. Jennifer's went bad, and we had to completely replace it. So,
okay.
So I kind of think that's might be what it is. So everybody, just be patient. We'll get that figured out. But the content's still good. We'll talk over the hiss.
We will talk over the hiss. We'll talk over it.
All right, let's start with my tech pick of the week. I need music or something for that. Can you sing or something? Tech pick of the week.
What's the tech pick? The app?
Yeah, it's an app.
Na 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 na. Hey, goodbye.
Well, thank you, Helena. Appreciate that. All right, tech pick of the week is an application for an Android phone, and I don't think they have it yet for the iPhone. Actually, things are starting to change now a little bit, and because there's more Android phones in the world than there is iPhones now, and it's cheaper to make. The coding is cheaper to do for Androids. More and more applications are coming out in Android first and iPhone second.
That's because it's open source.
Yes, it's open source and it's cheaper and people make more. Plus, the Android store is not as picky about which applications they accept. Right. So that's why we're starting to see that change a little. It used to be the other way around. This is called Horse Show Checklist. And it's an application. You just go to the App Store on your Android phone, the marketplace, and you search for Horse Show Checklist. And it's a cool little application. You know how when you're going to horse shows, especially with Jennifer, you remember this, my wife, she would make lists of 5,000 different lists for a horse show. Remember that?
And hunting.
And hunting. Yeah, anything she did has lists. In the trunks, each individual trunk had a list taped to the top of what was supposed to be in that trunk. And then there was master lists, and they were all set up all around the barn, or all around the horse trailer, on the inside of the door of the horse trailer. Well, this little application does that for you. And what's cool about it, like I have it open now on my Android phone, and it says, okay, touch an item. So the different categories are a list for your horse, a list for grooming, tack, polishing, rider, braiding, toolkit, truck and trailer, horse first aid, human first aid, overnight stall setup, the things you need for that, overnight stall cleaning, and overnight feeding. So they have all of these different categories. Each one of those has a list that you might need when going to a horse show. And what's cool is if I pick horse and open it up, it even breaks it down further. And it breaks down all the individual things you might need for your horse at the show. And what's really neat about it, Helena, is, let's say halter is the top thing. If I touch on halter, it turns it from red to green, meaning I have packed it. And then you can see when everything is green on your list, you have packed everything and you're ready to go. And then when you're time for the next horse show, at the top of the application, there's a clear all items button. You hit clear all items, you hit OK to confirm, and it turns them all red again. So you're ready for next horse show. And it's pretty cool. Now, the only complaint I have about it, and I haven't figured out a way to do this. I don't think there's a way to do it. Maybe they'll look at this for the next generation, is that you can't add custom stuff. Like if I carry things as an eventer that a hunter jumper doesn't carry and it's not on the list, I can't add it to the list.
Oh, they'll do that. They'll add that.
But that would I would think would be fairly easy to do.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I think is missing from this. But otherwise, I believe it's a 99-cent application. It's worth 99 cents, and it's right there on your phone. You won't forget to bring the list. You know what I mean?
Right, because it's on your phone.
It's right there. So I like it. Search for Horse Show Checklist on your Android in your Android marketplace. I
used to safety pin my hunting list to my helmet because I knew that I wouldn't get on my horse without my helmet. So my helmet was always something I would never forget. And I would put my list, That's a good idea. Fly whisk, whatever. Well, because your wife was the one who got me into the whole list thing. Don't leave the barn without a list. Don't leave the house without a list.
She makes lists for everything.
And so I would do this list, though. So then I'm like, well, then when I started working with her, we would not only have to make our own list, but then you have to make a list for all your clients, all your students, the barn. So, that's the other thing. Does this thing do multiple lists?
It has all of those sections I talked about.
Right.
So there's a list for each section. But no, once you save your one list, once you make everything green, then you have to clear it and start over.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's okay. It's a start.
It's a start. It's very basic, but I thought it was a good start and worth mentioning anyway. Speaking about worth mentioning, do you want to talk about Uncle Jimmy's?
I love Uncle Jimmy's. Uncle Jimmy's brand products. Uncle Jimmy's makes probably the best horse treats in the industry because they are all natural, they're yummy, and there's something for every horse type. I mean, this totally fits into what we're talking about in today's episode. Uncle Jimmy's makes, let's see, squeezy buns, licky things. What else does he make, Glenn?
Hanging balls.
Yeah. That's your favorite.
The pecker wrecker.
The pecker wrecker for chickens. There's something for everybody. They even have sugar-free treats. So I would encourage everybody to go to uncle-jimmys.com and take a look at, first of all, he's got a fabulous website, but look at how wonderful the treats are. Like I said, there's something for everybody. The squeezy buns are my personal favorite because they're soft, individually packaged treats with good stuff in them that you can use for hiding medications in. You can break them up into little pieces and use it for training, or you can just take the whole thing and shove it in your horse's face like I do. But like I said, there's something for everybody. They're good for your horse, and they're good for you.
Well, thank you to Uncle Jimmy's for his continued sponsorship of the show. Well, now we're going to talk about the guest that you've been waiting for, and I know you're excited about this.
Oh, I'm in love with this woman. I want to bring her to the United States and come stay with me for a week and just pick her brain. Yeah, we're going to talk to Britta Schuffman, and she is I believe she's from a German background. She's a top-notch European rider and trainer. She has earned her gold medal. She currently competes at the Grand Prix level, and she's written a couple of books. But the one that we're going to talk about today is called Dressage Training Customized: Schooling the Horse as Best Suits His Individual Personality and Conformation. I have to say, I've read this book. I took my time with it. I go back to it as reference. One of the most informative books on training and riding and getting from point A to point B with your horse that I've ever come across. It's simple. It's absolutely not pretentious. Britta covers pretty much every type of horse that there is, from the lazy horse to the hot horse, from, what kinds of training programs are good for Friesians versus thoroughbreds and warm bloods, and how not only a horse's personality will determine what kind of training he gets, but even how his conformation can affect the type of training program he's in. And so we're going to talk to Britta today about this book and her philosophy on training. Britta, I'm really, really, really thrilled to have you with us today because there are so few, I would say, professional trainers out there who really look at the entire horse, the whole horse. And I think that you have done that. You've brought I don't want to say customized training, but you've brought a broader perspective to training, to the dressage world. And one of the quotes in your book that really struck me was from Klaus Balkenhol, which starts this way. No two horses are the same. One must analyze each horse, considering his character, anatomy, and eccentricities. For each horse, there is a key, and it is our task to find it. And, that's a very powerful statement, and that is the basis of your entire book. What is it about, when did you realize this? I guess, where in your life did you realize this and say, oh my gosh, this is really important?
Well, when you deal with so many horses like I do, as a rider, of course, I started riding on ponies, and I realized that one pony was a little big, fat pony. The other one was a little more elegant. Then I started to ride on warm bloods, and they all were different. And I started training other people with horses when I was about 19, so quite a while ago. And they all had average horses, not just warm bloods, all different kinds of horses, ponies, Friesians, all kind of horses. And so I saw that you have to, when you train a horse and when you deal with a horse, you have to really listen to the horse and to its abilities. And that's also a reason why I was so happy to meet Klaus Balkenhol years ago, because he also has this special opinion that he never says that you have to train a horse just one way. He always tries to listen into the horse. And I think that's most important for every trainer, and that every trainer should do this, because as with people, all people are different. One is big, one is tall, one is small, one is short. Some people are a little more hectic. You say hectic in English?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be me.
And other people are very calm.
That's both of us.
That's true.
And so with all the different types of horses and also riders as human beings, you have to deal. And I think that makes it so interesting. And that was the reason why one of those days I thought maybe I should write a book about this.
Do you find that in your travels you come across a lot of other trainers who don't see training this way, don't see horses as individuals, or do you find that that a lot of people do see it that way? Is there a leaning in the industry one way or another?
I think the good trainers, they see that a horse is an individual, and all the good riders too. But
then does that translate into their success in the show ring?
Yes, I think so. Absolutely. I think there are some riders and some trainers who, maybe it's because they are not the very good ones. They have their difficulties to solve problems, because they only try to do it the way they read it in a book. The way you have to start at A and go over B to C to D. Right. And they don't see that sometimes you can't do the shortcut. You have to do maybe a step backwards and watch the horse, listen to the horse, and see what the horse is able to give to you. And I think that's the good riders know that you have to train like this, and the good trainers too. But there are also many not so good trainers.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately,
try to be very diplomatic.
Yes, yeah. Well, no, we don't do diplomatic here on the Stable Scoop Show. One of the things that I really liked about your book is the amount of detail that you go into the different types of individual horses and how that those differences can affect their training. I mean, you must have spent a lot of time digging this out of your brain. You cover things like the training differences as they apply to a horse's breed, mares versus geldings versus stallions. Horses that are true types versus horses that are made. The hyper or overreactive horse versus the lazy horse. And for each one of those sections that you write in detail how generic training, such as the training scale, and we can go into that in a minute, but how you can take a foundation like the training scale and apply it to these individual types or individual personalities. How do you how do you know when you first meet a horse, you first start working with a horse, how quickly can you assess what their type is?
I think I can do this very quickly. I mean, most people who are experienced with horses, they can see by the way the horse moves, the way the horse looks, the horse reacts, and what type of horse it is. And of course, there's a difference between a mare and a stallion. It's like in real life, men and women are a little bit different, and so there are sometimes little things. Most mares are a little more ticklish when you come too much with a leg, when you work too much with your leg. Some stallions think they want to be the boss in the ring, and these are quite normal things, but you have to realize them. And the problem is that some riders don't realize it, don't feel it. They just buy a horse, and it might be a mare just by coincidence. And they then maybe before they had 20 years a nice quiet gelding, and they just think a horse is a horse. Of course. But once in a while, there are differences between those horses. And I think the good trainer and the good rider realize it very fast. And it's quite easy when you're experienced to see those differences.
Right. We don't all have your years of experience and the breadth of your experience.
And when
I'll tell you what, though, Britta.
Yes?
Britta, I've owned ponies most of my life. I love ponies. And I'll tell you what, I think that's very evident, especially in ponies. They just cover the gambit from one personality to another. I have never owned two ponies that have even been close to alike. They're so individual. And sometimes not good in ponies, but...
What do you mean not good in ponies? They're all good. A horse is a horse.
Some of those ponies can be little devils, for sure.
Well...
Yes, but I like ponies. I love ponies. I started with ponies.
Yeah, me too. They're so much fun.
Yeah, they're so much fun. And when I started with ponies, there were, at least here in Germany, those small, little, big belly ponies, not the typical dressage ponies. Nowadays, over here in Europe, they have little ponies. They are so wonderful as dressage horses. They have super movements, very great gaits. They're really good horses. They're just little.
Right.
But still you have to train them a little different than 17 hand horse.
Right.
Right.
Nice part is if they won't get in the trailer, you can just pick them up. That's the nice part.
Put them in the station wagon. I always wanted to do that.
So much easier to mount them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you know what? Those are the ones that I get dumped off. Those are the ones that they drop the shoulder and I'm in the dirt. Never fails. The big guys, you're waiting for it. But
the way down to the ground is not so far.
That's right.
That's true. This is true. And also, you ride ponies on the beach because when you do land, it doesn't hurt as bad.
My gelding, he's on the book too. He's I don't know how much is in his hands. It's 180 centimeters. That's quite tall. Yeah. And when you fall off him, then you really have a long, long way to the ground.
Now, in one of the chapters in your book, you go over the character types of the horses and what kinds of training techniques work best. And something that really struck a chord with me was the prankster, because we all love the pranksters. They're so cute and they're funny and we love their personalities, but they can be a little bit difficult to train or to work with. And you describe in this chapter how to train that horse without losing the spark that makes that personality so wonderful. And I think that's even for some of the more experienced trainers, that's a challenge, is how do you get this horse really to fall in with the program without losing the essence of what makes him so unique and wonderful?
Now you must explain to me what a prankster is.
You have, let's see, you have it in the book here.
Yes, I didn't write it in English. It got translated.
And I happen to have one at home here. They're often geldings or stallions that are highly confident, curious, and playful, plus have a macho side and are naturally mischievous. They are often extremely dominant types that always look to challenge the rider with a discussion.
They're troublemakers.
Well, a discussion. And, the prankster likes to learn and advance in his training. And is the sort that likes to, learn tricks and gets into trouble in his daily life?
So that's exactly what my big gelding is. um, I think those horses are very interesting to train, but they're also very difficult to train because they have their own mind much more than most other horses.
A lot of people would get frustrated with that. They're trying to get somewhere. And you do have some great advice in your book about, how to really tap into their thinking mind, their thinking, playful mind. Like you say, the prankster's greatest problem is his tendency to take advantage of any uncertainties or mistakes by the rider. So you kind of need to have a little confidence. You gotta
have confidence, and you have to have patience. A lot of patience. It just takes a little longer with these kind of horses. They are very smart, what helps, of course, to train them on the one hand, but that smartness also makes it difficult because they really feel every little unsureness of the rider, and they use it. Not against the rider, but they use it just to play around and do other stupid things.
Right.
So you have to, when these horses start to be maybe a little bit obedient or disobedient, then you really must realize that it's not because they don't want to work with you, they don't want to work against you, but they think they can do it without you, and they can do whatever they want to do because they are so smart. That makes it interesting, but also difficult. And I think those horses are not horses for people who are not very experienced, because sooner or later they will have problems with these kind of horses.
Right. What do you think, Glenn? You'd be if you were a horse, you'd be a prankster.
And I'm not easily trained, so my wife has said that for the past 25 years.
She's still trying to train you.
Still trying, and you know what? I have learned little things, and I think this is the way the prankster works. He knows. I think the prankster, and I've had ponies like that too, and I think they know. You can teach them, and they do learn, but they're always just going to push that envelope a little bit, and they're never going to stop pushing that envelope on you. So you're always on your toes forever with that kind of horse. Do you think that's true?
I think that's true. I think they can become brilliant horses, maybe even better than other horses, but you always have to keep an eye on them. Just we have this saying here: don't give them your little finger, then take the whole hand. And I think those horses are a little bit like. We had
Edward Gow was over here when he was over here for the World Equestrian Games, and we were sitting chatting one day before a clinic he was doing, and he even said Totalis was a little bit that way. He's a little bit that prankster and that one that will always push you a little bit.
Yeah, he's a strong-minded horse, of course.
Yep.
And I think he has to be just to become so brilliant as he is.
Right.
And that's the other thing that's nice about this book is that you have little bits and pieces from some very accomplished riders talking about their horses and their horse types. And it's really nice to hear sort of this backroom conversation about how these riders, when they appear in the show ring, in the arena, they're so polished and they're so put together. And of course, their performances are stunning. But to hear them talk about their challenges in training or with their horses' personality types, it makes me feel better, and probably a lot of other people too, to know that it's not that easy for everybody. Even when you're really great, you still have challenges in training. And I guess that just sort of says, oh, okay, well, if Isabel Worth has some challenges, well, then it's okay for me to have some too. Yeah, and that feeds the patience, that feeds the persistence that you're saying you need to keep going, whether your horse is lazy or a slow mover or the prankster. Now, let's talk a little bit about the training scale, because that's a little bit new to me. I know it's been around forever, but how do you describe to our listeners what the training scale is, what its benefit is to training, and then how you fit individual personality types for horses into that training scale?
Yeah, the training scale is a training plan you have for a horse, not only for a young horse, but also for the whole your whole time of riding. You start with a young horse, but that training scale is more the central theme, the leitmotif during the whole work with the horse. It's we have these different parts of that training scale. It's rhythm, it's suppleness and relaxation, contact, impulsion and straightness, and in the end, collection. And the whole thing is to get a horse that's with a very good throughness. So you can give just very, very little aids, nearly invisible aids, and the horse does everything you want him to do. That's the reason why you train concerning to this training scale.
Is the training scale linear? Like you have to start with one before you can move on to the next?
It's not exactly linear. In one of my other books, I did a little scratching and Zeichnung. It's a little bit built up like a house. You have the foundation. That's the rhythm, the suppleness, and the contact. You need this in beginning to go on with your work, so that the horse after a while straightens up itself, that it is able to collect itself. Because for collection, you need a trained horse that is able to bend his haunches, to flex his haunches, and to carry the weight, his own weight, and the weight of the rider a little bit more on the hind legs.
Right.
It needs this basic, and the basic is the rhythm and the suppleness and the contact. If you don't have contact between your hand and the horse's mouth, you won't get this impulsion. You need to. I mean, a Totilas would, if you just would like ride him at absolute loose rein with the neck somewhere in the air, he wouldn't move like he does. So all this together in the training scale makes the horse to become a dancer under the rider, if you do it rightly.
Now, I have, for example, when I school my horse in the flat, because he has some trouble with rhythm, I don't necessarily focus on contact or suppleness. Sometimes we need to get rhythm first, and then that calms his mind enough to become supple. He can't be supple unless he's calm, and he can't be calm unless he has rhythm. But that took quite a few months for me to play around with. Well, what do we do every time you get on? And I'm schooling my horse. What exactly are we going to do today? And I might have a plan before I get on, and I'd say 9 times out of 10 that plan changes the minute I get my other foot in this stirrup. But I found that one of these things or two of these things can't actually happen without the other. For example, rhythm coming first. Do you find that these 3 initial pieces on the training scale are related like that? You can't have one without the other?
Yes, absolutely. Over here, after this training scale, we put the rhythm in the beginning. But and some people they say that's not right. You should have the relaxation in the beginning and the suppleness. I think that's exactly what the book is about. That it doesn't matter if you say I stay with the rhythm in the beginning, or somebody else said I. For me, it's more important that my horse is relaxed in the beginning. I think it depends on the horse. When you have a horse that's very nervous, it won't get into a good rhythm, and so then the relaxation is more important to get it in the beginning. If you have a horse which is very relaxed but has problems with the rhythm, then you really must put the rhythm in first and say, okay, I work on that rhythm, because without that rhythm, I would never be able to get the good impulsion and come to the collection. So it depends a little bit on the horse. I think the training scale is something you really should just see as a leitmotif, that you know that there are these several parts of the training scale. They interlock.
They work together. Yes,
they work together.
They work together.
Yep.
And it's exactly it's a very good example of these Frisian horses. Usually, the Frisian horses have in the trot a good rhythm, and the walk, sometimes they have problems, and lots of them have problems in the canter. Of course, you have to get a good rhythm before you start training them. But they also have the problem of this very, very high neck. They are not the contact between the rider's hand and the mouth is usually not so good, and the suppleness and relaxation also not. So for me, the first thing you have to do with a Frisian is to try to get him into a better contact, so you can help him to find the rhythm in the canter. So it really depends a little bit on the horse. The classical, the very, very classical way, it said it's first rhythm, then suppleness, then contact. But I think you have to sometimes just let the horse show you the way if you put the one thing a little bit more first or the other.
Right. But it almost seems as if whatever the order that you do that in, it seems like one unlocks the door to the other. It's, that some people call it, here in the States, we hear this phrase a lot, we had a light bulb moment. And I think that's just from working through these exercises with your horse enough times and playing with it, say, well, let's try some contact today, or let's work on, suppleness today. Trying it enough times and in different ways to unlock that door. But you also have to be a good listener. And I think that's one of the keys that's missing. How do you, if you're riding your horse regularly and you're trying things, you're playing around with different methods and techniques, that assumes that you have to be a good listener to your horse and your horse's individuality. How can we as riders be better listeners?
Oh, as you just said, that sometimes you get on the horse with a plan, and the moment you sit on the horse, you have to change the plan because you feel that maybe the horse today is not ready for your plan, and I think that's very, very important. That you are able to have a plan, to have that central theme, that you know where you want to work on, but not only every day your plan. You have to be able to change the plan if the horse needs that change, and I think that's most important. And of course, that needs experience from the rider, and of course also experience from the trainer. Sometimes the trainer on the ground should say his student, okay, the plan for today was maybe flying changes, but I see that the horse has problems with his relaxation. He has problems with his contact. So we skip the plan. We go 1 or 2 steps backwards, and we start there where the horse wants to start. And I think that brings you much faster forward than if you try, or you would try to say, okay, today I planned the flying changes, and I stay with the flying changes, even when the horse is not ready. So it asks a lot of self-critics. You say self-critic?
Yeah.
Of yourself?
Yeah.
That once in a while, of course, you also have to ask yourself, maybe I do something wrong. Maybe it's me. It's not the horse. It's me.
No, it's never me.
Most riders say, no, it's never me. But that makes, I think, riding so interesting. And so it really trains the rider's character, because the riding brings you back on the ground and the floor every time when you sit on the horse. It really brings you back where you as a rider, you can't just say, okay, I do it. I can do it. If the horse says, no, not today, you have to think about what you do, what the horse does, what the horse needs, and that makes it so interesting.
And you have to be willing to accept their imperfections. So if, for example, you do go out on a certain day and you have a plan, maybe that plan falls into a bigger goal. You want to achieve, right? You want to work on something, but you have to be willing to say to yourself, and this is, I think, a really hard thing for human beings to do, is say, I just have to accept that this might be a flaw for us. This might be an imperfection that I'm going to have to live with for the next 2 or 3 shows, or because today my horse needs to work on X, even though I wanted to work on Y. It requires sort of a softness in your mind and your heart to accept that.
Absolutely. George Teodorescu once said that sometimes people want that the horse is brilliant every single day. And if it's not brilliant, some people get a little upset with the horse, and why does it work today with me? And George Teodorescu said, with a horse, it's like with a ballerina. A ballerina can't dance every day as she would be on the.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we're the same. All humans are the same way. We have good days and bad days.
Good days and bad days, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you have a bad day, you can try to get it a little better. But if not, sometimes it helps just to say, okay, no training today.
Yeah, exactly.
I just ride outside and have
just a bad day. I'm going to take a nap. That's, and I'm feeling that coming on, actually. This has been great, guys, and we're plain running out of time. And I know Helena has about 100 more questions for you, but that's what the book is for, too.
Yes.
So you can find the book. It's Dressage Training Customized, and it is on Amazon, and we will put links to it in our show notes as well, and we'll post it on Facebook. So it's Dressage Training Customized. Britta, this has been so much fun to talk to you all the way from Europe, and I appreciate you being on with us today.
Oh, I say thank you for you. It was very interesting, and I hope you understood what I tried to say.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Absolutely. It was an honor and a pleasure.
And normally we'll give away the books that have been sent to us, but I don't think Helena's given this one up.
No way. This is going to be one that I'm going to go back to over and over. This is definitely... I just had surgery on my knee, Britta, and I took this to the hospital with me. They're like, what are you reading? I said, just some horse stuff. I had my head buried in this thing through some serious drugs.
So it's that horse on page 45. It's the one with the blanket. That's my big gelding, and who's also a prankster. And he did something that. So I had to have a knee surgery too because he bucked me off.
There you go.
Not because he is nasty, just because he once in a while is a little bit too much a prankster.
And he does it because he can.
He does it because he can, and then he turns around and smiles and said, "Oops,
yep,
I lost
sorry,
you.
You're on the ground again."
Well, in the photograph, he's looking right at the camera. He's totally like going to town on this blanket. Oh yeah,
know exactly what he's doing. Yes.
Thank you, Britta. We appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, now that was a fascinating conversation. By the way, you are the best when it comes to these kind of conversations because you get so into it and you're so curious.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the very essence of being a horse person. This is what keeps us coming back. There's so much depth and richness to being a horsewoman and a rider. And I mean, let's face it, those of us who ride, whether you want to or not, you're training your horse. We know this. Every time you work with your horse, it's a schooling session. And so that's why I say this is great for trainers, but it's also good for just your everyday rider who, even if you don't have goals, it helps you understand your horse a little bit better and your relationship with your horse.
So out of 5 flakes?
Oh, easily 5.5.
Oh, wow. This
first book
one gets
gone
extra
over.
Credit.
This one gets extra credit. She has great pictures. So there's illustrations. There are photographs. She has wonderful words of wisdom from some really impressive riders. And the backstories of some of these riders, Isabel Worth, there's one woman's name. I always pronounce it wrong. But to understand, I'm going to butcher her name, Monica Theodorescu and her horse Eric. These are some serious riders, and they've contributed to her book with these little stories about their own training challenges. It's like, oh, yeah, I have that problem too.
All right, great. Well, that's terrific. And as we said, the name of the book is Dressage Training Customized, and we'll put links in our show notes to that. And, one of the other places that you can find stuff for training is Equestrian Collections. If you're shopping for a young rider, then Equestrian Collections gives you the best choice of riding apparel, footwear, gifts, helmets, and safety gear for young riders of any, they're probably better than almost any equestrian website out there as far as selection is concerned. And there's always great everyday and promotional prices with their enormous selection. Equestrian Collections is the place to go. Whether you're a young rider or you're older, it doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female, because they cover all the gambits, and they're one of the very few places that has all the men's stuff that they do. And the other cool thing is they give us a coupon. When you're checking out on your next order, just put HRN in the coupon code area, you will get $10 off your next order of $120 or more. And that's at equestriancollections.com. And the other thing I'll tell you to do, if you haven't already, is follow them on Facebook. Search for Equestrian Collections on Facebook, because they have lots of cool stuff they post in there. It's not just about sales, and it's not just spammy stuff. There's lots of good information and links to articles. They do a great job with it at equestriancollections.com for all of your horse and rider needs. Do you want to do your pony club thing or not?
I do want to do my pony club thing. I want to do it today.
Okay.
But we'll start with today's.
This was news that you want to quit the pony club.
I want to quit the pony club. Well, I've had some time to think. So let's just we'll do it today, and then maybe we'll see what our listeners have to say.
Okay.
So this little segment that I thought might be kind of fun for, I don't want to say our newer listeners, but for maybe those of us who are a little less experienced. It's called Everything I Need to Know About Life I Learned in Pony Club, except I didn't do Pony Club. So what I thought I would do is sort of bring snippets from the Pony Club Manual of Horsemanship to the Stable Scoop listeners with my own snarky personal little twist. And today's segment is called Check Your Freaking Tack. Really?
That would be the snarky little twist.
That would be. So now here's the thing. Let's be real. How often do you really, really clean your tack? Every day? Every time you ride? Once a year like me?
Yeah, like once a year like you. Yeah.
Right. No, it's seriously.
That's cleaning harnesses sometime. They're long, and there are lots of it. And
somebody tried to get me to do that once, and I think I quit or something. No, I'm not touching that. Not that I mind cleaning tack, but like a lot of people, who has the time? There's so many things you want to squeeze into a day that, I don't always have the time to really clean my tack. And some of us just don't have the inclination to keep our tack pony club clean. Just wipe it down with a bit wipe and you're good to go. Unfortunately, my bit wipes are multi-purpose. They do things more than just clean the bit.
I don't think that was supposed to be the idea, by the way.
No. And so I'm thinking maybe once the kids are in school and things quiet down a little bit, you'll take a morning to hang a bridle on a tack hook and give it a good cleaning. So anyway, it's understandable some of us just can't be so thorough with our cleaning. No one's going to alert the authorities unless, however, you fail to also check your tack. Before every single ride, as you tack up your horse, it's really important that you check everything. And I mean everything. Your saddle fit, your billet condition, your buckles, your bridle, the bit fit, your cheek pieces, your keepers, bell boots, support boots, all of it, everything that you put on your horse. Because if something fails while you are on board, it could mean disaster. If
we've all seen those YouTube videos where the stirrup breaks, or stirrup leather breaks, or the stirrup itself breaks, or the girth becomes undone, and the saddle's on the bottom of the horse. We've all seen those videos.
Oh yes, we've seen. I mean, I've lived it. The thing is, if a bell boot falls off and your horse is pretty level-headed, okay, not a big deal, unless you happen to be going over a 5-foot oxer. That's a distraction you don't want to happen when you're in the air. On a really bad day, you could be galloping along after the huntsman and your horse spooks at a coop. True story, not naming any names. Your billet breaks, the girth slips, and you end up in the dirt. For the next 6 months, you have a hard time bending down long enough to pick your horse's feet. So, the moral
Nobody we know.
Nobody we know. Nobody at the Horse Radio Network. So the moral of the story is, if you are the kind of person who can and does clean their tack often, great. That gives you the opportunity to check things. If you're the other kind of horseman, just make sure everything is safe and working as it should, because I know it's cliche, but it's true. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And that's my story.
All right. And now, why are you throwing the pony club out the window?
Well, one of the things I think that's really important, I've been overusing the word really today. One of the things I think is important in horsemanship and being a good horseman is to be humble, because being humble opens the mind. And I think people, whether you're, a horseman or not, an open mind is just better. It's just my opinion. Open mind is better. And I feel like sometimes I question whether or not I'm in a position to preach to other people. I could live 100 lifetimes and still not know enough about horses to preach. I want to share things with our listeners from my firsthand experiences, but I'm not really comfortable preaching, I guess. And I feel like maybe this little segment could be a little preachy. I don't know. Let's see what our listeners say. Send us a message on Facebook or contact us through stablescoop.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts, but I do feel like it's a little preachy, and I don't think that fosters enough humility.
Well, and I don't think that the listeners have taken it that way. I haven't taken it that way. I've taken it as a bit more of being a reminder of things that we should do and we don't do all the time. So it just sort of puts it to the front of our brains again.
It does. It does.
And we all know this stuff. It's sort of like driving and following all the traffic laws. You should stop at that stop sign, but you know what? There hasn't been a car coming for the last 20 years.
Right.
So we just roll it. We know we should. So it's just kind of a reminder. So I haven't taken it as preachy at all.
I know.
If anything, you get a little too humble for your own good at times.
Fine. Well, let's hear from our Stable Scoop listeners. If you like these little snippets from the Pony Club and these little reminders, then let us know. And if you think they're totally...
Or if not, or if you think she's being a total pain in the ass, then let us know that too.
I had somebody tell me once, Helena, she's so bossy. She thinks she knows everything. And I was like, that was a little hard to hear. And it made me sit down and think, well, do I think I know everything? And I know for sure. I don't believe I know everything. But the things
That's not
that
what Peter told me.
I know a lot more than he does, especially when it comes to horses. You should hear us talking about, oh my gosh, he's a great horse husband, but you should hear the conversations about why we need to set up dinner at breakfast time and why the hay nets have to be hung in advance. And but anyway,
right.
The point is keep an open mind, stay humble, and a life will be a lot easier for you.
And I'll say one thing. We did the barn over the weekend for a friend of ours who was away, and she's a boarding stable with about 25 horses, and Jennifer and I were in charge over the weekend for 3 days, and it reminded us that we never want to do that again. We kind of like boarding our horse now, so just saying. Let's get to Tack and Habit.
Yay, I love this product. I'm so excited that it's out. This segment of Tack and Habit is sponsored by Kentucky Performance Products. Choose Kentucky Performance Products supplements because the horse that matters to you matters to KPP. This week, we're going to talk about Nalox. Has your horse become cranky and sullen, maybe losing the healthy bloom to his coat? Is he prone to colic or off his feed? These could be symptoms of stomach irritation and ulcers. You can prevent ulcers before they happen with Nalox Equine Antacid. Its unique formula buffers excess acid for up to 6 hours while it coats and protects a sensitive stomach. Now, it's easy for Kentucky Performance Products to stand behind their products because they believe in them. Your complete satisfaction is guaranteed. So, if you're unsatisfied with any of their products, they will gladly refund your money. Learn more about Nalox and all the KPP products at www.kppusa.com.
Well, today we have a little bit of a recording that we did at the American Equestrian Trade Association a couple weeks ago, the one you couldn't attend.
I know.
And it's about a product that we've talked about before. Do you own one of these yet?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Do you use
And
it?
I love it.
Okay.
I do, yes, at certain times.
Yeah, Jennifer uses this exclusively now, and that's the Spur Swader. If you remember right, we talked about that on the Tack and Habit show. It's a new kind of spur that is more gentle on your horse and is quite unique. and we're going to talk about the Western version. They've now come out with a Western spur swader, and you can see in the picture there it has the fancy leather strap and everything.
I know, and it looks really good, too.
It does. It's very nice. She's having that done by a nice leather company here in the United States. So that's the Spur Swader, and we got a chance to talk to Linda Houck, and in this conversation were all of us, because everybody was excited about it. So you're going to hear Jennifer in this conversation, and you're going to hear Janie from the morning show in on it, too. So this is everybody just having fun with Linda Houck, who's a lot of fun to begin with. She's an inventor, and she, designed these spurs because she needed them for her own use. So let's take a listen. All right, this is Glenn the Geek, and I am here at the American Equestrian Trade Association show, and we're taking a look at new products for the fall for a number of our shows here. And I have Coach Jen, who also works for the Horse Radio Network, and is producer of the morning show and host of Horse Tip Daily.
That's me.
Well, and we also have a guest here with somebody that we love her products. We met her a while back. And we did shows with. We actually had you on the show here. I think one of the other times you were here.
Yeah.
And you have a product called the Spur Swader, which is a new, different kind of spur. And we've talked about those before. And Coach Jen uses them. Now we'll have you describe it. But then you have a new Spur Swader that's come out that we'll get to in just a minute. But you describe the Spur Swader and what it does and why it's important.
Okay, well, no, thank you so much, Glenn, for having me back. Designed this persuader out of a need to be kinder but still effective. A lifetime of riding the thoroughbreds off the racetrack, get to the point where you're teaching them the lateral work, using a traditional Prince of Wales, and the response you would get with those sensitive horses, the ears back, the kicking out, the tail swishing. I'm also a level 2 coach and a level 2 technical delegate. So I'm at a lot of horse shows, and I could see how people were inadvertently using the spur or not using it correctly and what the horses' reactions were. So at home in Ontario, I asked a tool and die maker on a traditional spur, could you put what we have, a loonie at home? And so we had a much greater surface area, no sharp edges, and the difference on the horses has been just phenomenal.
And to describe it, it looks like a traditional spur in the part that goes around your foot. Okay.
Yes, the boot aspect of it is just like a spur.
But the other part, I would say, it sticks out about a half an inch, and then there's
a button.
There's a button. It looks like a stainless steel button.
Yeah.
It's rounded, so there's no sharp edges, but there's enough there that if you're tapping them in the side with it, they're going to know they're being tapped.
Absolutely. And I just actually here in my booth, I brought a pair of spurs that I rode 5 horses on Friday, and the whole surface area is dirty. So that the whole contact surface
all the way
area,
around.
It can be, and the whole disc makes contact.
And an interesting question I got from...
And Jennifer, by the way, you use these.
I do. I had...
You sold your other spurs. That's the only one you use.
Yes, I had two. I had 2 pairs of your traditional English spurs, little teeny tiny short ones for the wackos, and just typical medium length ones for everybody else. And Beaker, the horse that I ride mostly now, the one that I own, if you touch him with a spur, he just he cringes a little bit. It's like, oh, the mosquito just bit me. That stinks. You really don't get a positive response from him bodily. He doesn't look at that as an aid. He looks at that as an irritant. Well, he's a very kind horse. I don't want to be getting after him. And I thought, well, this isn't working real good, but I needed to get him to move away from my leg a little bit because he needs to work a little bit with his lateral work because we have to be able to open and close gates together. Even though I ride English, I go in and out of a lot of gates.
He's a quarter horse. He's not used.
Horse.
He's getting used to the English thing.
Yeah, he's a quarter horse. So you very kindly sent me a pair of spur swaders and said, you've got to try these. And I frankly went, really? This is going to work? This is kind of heavy, and it's a great big round thing, and it looks really, really different. But I tried them, and the first time I used them, I gave him the exact same aid as I normally would. I didn't change the way I rode, and I gave him just a little touch to say, come on, you need to take 1 step away from this gate. You need to take 1 step sideways with your hindquarters. And instead of cringe and brace, he went, oh, what's that over there? I think I need to move away from that. And it was the difference between tapping somebody on the shoulder to get their attention and a mosquito biting somebody on the shoulder to get their attention. It was just a positive response, not a, oh my God, that stinks. I hate that. So I'm going, really? These work? Really?
Yeah.
So I sold my other
That's probably
spurs.
the reaction you get from a lot of people.
It is, actually. Yeah. The testimonials on the website, people walk up to me and tell me, my God, my horse is so much happier. I don't get the overreaction. I don't get the kicking out to the leg. I don't get the tail swishing. I get better dressage marks. So absolutely.
Yes.
And these are legal?
They're legal for the dressage in the States and the hunter jumpers. I do know event riders that are competing with them at national level in the States. They aren't FEI approved yet.
Okay.
I am working on that.
Okay.
So you have to have a separate approval process for the FEI.
FEI works on their own rules and regulations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They do.
Now, what makes us unique and why you're probably hearing this also on the Western radio show now, we're sharing this interview with a number of them, is because being kinder and gentler to the horses is not only an English thing, that's a Western thing. And of course, when you're talking natural horsemanship and you start to get into a lot of the clinicians and instructors out there, they should really take a liking to this because you have now made the Western version of the Spursuader. So tell us about that.
Well, it came out of a need again. I had Western people buying my English Spursuader, and they would also have to buy the English strap. But it was a gentleman out in Enid, Oklahoma, that had bought a pair online, so I didn't know what riding he did. And he put on my Facebook page for Spursuader. I use Spursuader. He said, got my Spursuaders, absolutely love them. The hardest thing was putting them on my boots. So I emailed him and I said...
Because his boots are too big for the
so
old
wide.
English strap.
Well, what he said was, I ride Western. I'm just an old cowboy. And he sent me a picture of how he had attached the English Spursuaders to Western cowboy boots. And what he did is he just tore 2 pieces of leather and tied them onto his boots. And he'd been he was the last one that I finally said, okay, I need a Western spur. If they're buying my English spur and strapping them onto their boots like this, then the least I can do is make a spur that they can use all their Western straps on. And it came again out of a need.
And this one, it's made with, describe the strap now.
Well, the strap, I've just got...
The straps are sold separately, right?
Right.
The straps are sold separately because, again, I didn't realize, being an eventer, a long-time English rider, that a lot of your Western riders custom make their straps.
They like
It's
their
big
straps.
doings,
They'll have their brands on them and everything.
And the bling and the hair.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
Us English folks need to get with it.
But this is made for the Western spur
Yes.
strap.
They've got the button attachments on the side so they can
Right.
interchange what spur straps
and they're
they
nice
want.
brass too.
Yeah.
They're really, and it's a beautifully made spur as usual.
Thank you.
Because the English ones are really high quality stainless steel as well,
316 stainless steel, and it's a one-size-fits-all, men and women.
and it will never rust.
No,
because it's good quality stuff. And there's a left and a right spur, and they are engraved appropriately. This one in my hand is the right spur.
Yeah, I had a cowboy at a trade show come up to me and say, I'm not looking for a curve, because they do curve 6 degrees in so that it's the curve is in towards the horse. He says, you better tell us cowboys which is left and which is right.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Very smart.
Yeah.
That's funny. Now, the only problem with old cowboys is I have to get my glasses to see it. But other than that...
It's a big R. It's a big R, Glenn, so you should be able to handle it. If I hold it back here, can you see that? Okay, good.
Well, this is great. Congratulations. And I know that this Spursuader has taken off amongst the pros. You see them now in all the big shows. And, you know, I know what struggles you went through to bring one little product to market. Mm-hmm. And now, congratulations, because you've done very well with it.
Thank you so much. No, it's been really well received, and what I love about it is it's just gone across the equestrian industry. It's not just the eventing. It's everybody. Amateurs love them because they're not afraid to use them.
Well, and I think, you know, we just had a Western rider here who does cutting. He does reining and cutting, I think. And, you know, he's diehard pro Western rider. And, you know, he looked at him and said he actually, because the Western typically have used rowel spurs a lot of times, he says on my amateurs they're overusing them, and I tape the spurs. I'll tape them up so that they don't get that harshness. And he said for them I would highly recommend this. So, you know, that's something to think about out there too. If you have students that are overusing their spurs, let's take a look at a little kinder, gentler. And they can't overuse these. They really can't the way they're designed.
And they're just perfectly designed for a hot thoroughbred in
Right.
the English world too, which is something that we all have a problem with. We get started with them, we need to use our spurs, and they just get really angry about it. So this is a great kind of beginning to introduce them to spurs, and you'll be able to keep them forever. So it's a great product.
Nice job.
Thank you, guys.
And Linda, of course, you can hear her also on Horse Tip Daily. You do tips over there on Horse Tip Daily, which Jennifer has now taken over. And as I understand it, you're going to be recording some new tips here shortly. So
As soon as everybody gets back from all the millions and ones trade shows.
okay, and you'll find that at horsetipdaily.com as well. So thank you so much, Linda. What's the website?
www.spurswader.com.
Spell it for everybody because I always get it wrong.
SPURSUADER.
Spurswader.com.
Can't even say it.
I can't even say it. Well, there's the Western Spur Swader is now available. It is very good looking. I have to say that you wouldn't be embarrassed to be a Western rider and actually use this.
No. And I have a feeling that this will revolutionize spurs in the Western world.
Well, a lot of the Western riders are really into natural horsemanship, and they don't believe in the big rowel spurs and the typical Western spurs. So this offers them an alternative that really, as Jennifer said, she uses all parts of that round part of the spur. She uses the edges and the top. She said everything is dirty when I get off the horse because she's learned to use that round sort of quarter-shaped surface in many different ways.
Yes, me
Same
too.
thing? Yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah, me too. It's not just the flat part of it. You can use the whole thing.
Right.
All the angles, yeah.
And it's gentle. It's more like encouraging rather than poking. And that's what a lot of horses need, and in whether you're English or Western. And now, some of the Western riders were trying to use these English spur straps on their boots, and they just weren't fitting. So now she has this Western strap that's very attractive leather and worth taking a look at. And these things are I think, in the $49 range. So, and you're going to buy one and use it forever. So check it out at spurswader.com. It's a good product. It gets good reviews.
I agree.
Yep. All right, that's it. Be sure to check in next Friday for another episode of Stable Scoop, where we talk about something in the horse world. That's whatever that will be.
Something that's important and fun.
Something that will be fun.
If you want details about today's show, go to go somewhere.
Go where?
Don't go there. Go to stablescoop.com where you'll find links, photos, and more information about today's guests. And we do love your feedback, so please let's hear from you. Follow us on Facebook under Stable Scoop, and on Twitter at Horse Radio. I'm a mess today.
We're just many thanks to our sponsors, Equestrian Collections, Uncle Jimmy's, and Kentucky Performance Products. And be sure to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Good one on the Western show this week, Helena, that I think you would enjoy too. Mm-hmm. It's they're talking about horse hotels. If you travel with your horses across the country, they're talking about ways you can find places to stay and good outlets for that. So it was an interesting conversation over at the Western Radio Show this week.
Take a listen.
Well, that's it, Helena, for this week.
That is plenty, Glenn. But I'm retired. Retire me now. Put me on Medicare. I'm done.
God, put a pumpkin on your leg, and all of a sudden you can't talk.
Holy God. And people, I'm not even taking Advil, nothing. I'm pain-free. Maybe I should. Maybe I should go dig into the drugs. Where there will be more next week, and I do hope that you don't hold this week against us.